Hey, so in today's video, I'd like to talk to you about a question that I ask myself so very often, which is, do I really want it? Now, whatever it may be, because it can be anything, whatever it may be makes the question vary a little bit, but for the purpose of the video, choose something that can be defined by it. And it can be anything, like it could be food, it could be work, it could be a hobby, it can be anything. Anything at all. So just pick something for the context of the video. But as long as it can be defined by it. So you got quite the boundaries. I'm just saying. Anyway, this method in question that I have here, it's helped me countless times. Countless times. And it really shows me who I am. And I think it will do the same for everyone. It really teaches you who you're going to be, who you're meant to be, who you want to be, all that stuff. Helped me many times through the years. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So what's this method that I speak of? It's actually quite simple. It's quite quick too, actually. Basically, I just want you to take whatever it may be. And I just want you to imagine two futures. One where you died not doing it, and one where you died and you did it. Or maybe you don't have to die in that future. Maybe you just did it. Either way it goes, the point is, would you be happy or sad if you died not doing it? And would you be happy or sad if you died doing it? Not doing, going down in a blaze of glory, but like I did it before in my life. I'm happy that I did it, kind of deal. So, would you be sad if you missed out on it and you died before you could do it? Or would it be fine? Either way it goes, these are both good. This is both good stuff. If it's yes, if it's no, it doesn't matter. Either way, it's good. Because we're trying to build you a bucket list here. Furthermore, would you put this thing on your bucket list, actually? Because if you would put it on your bucket list, then perfect. Perfect. Then that's a goal to have and a thing to do. And that's part of this whole thing, is to thin out, what are we going to put on our bucket list? What are we going to do in the goals area? Where are we going to go? What do we want? So, this exercise, either way it turns out, if you say yes, that's perfect. You can get right after it, you can put it on the bucket list, and you can keep it rolling. But if you say no, it's fine. You just move on, do a different thing, you cut that thing out, however it may be. That doesn't mean sacrifice your responsibilities, though, because if you say this for, like, work, like, you don't like your job, and then you apply this same idea and say, well, if this is how it works, then I should not do my job anymore. That isn't exactly what I mean. That's not what I mean. Responsibilities still need to be kept intact. That doesn't mean you're going to be stuck in the same job forever, but don't leave your job before you have a solidified plan. Like, maybe you could leave for a different job. There's an option, but don't just leave work entirely because you don't really want it. You got to work towards the future that you do want, and sometimes that includes things that you don't want to do. So, don't be reckless. Make sure you still are safe with it, you're smart with it, you keep your responsibilities going. Make sure you do that. But anyway, with that out of the way, there's one little itty-bitty problem about this, though. Is that with this method, we'll thin out, we'll get rid of all the useless stuff, we don't want to be doing social media, scrolling on and on for hours a day. We don't want to be procrastinating for hours. We don't want to do any of that. The useless stuff, we thinned it out. That isn't on our bucket list. Procrastinating and scrolling on media all day. That isn't on our bucket list. But with that all thinned out, there's probably still going to be a ton of other stuff. At least that's how it is for me. Because no matter what I do with this method, I'm still left over with a bunch of stuff. With a bunch of it. It's funny because, we all got so many goals. And I'm there, so I was thinking about how can I deal with it. And there's a simple thing. It's really just set your priorities. Take a look at everything and see what is most important. Set the priorities. Because you can still achieve all these goals. This isn't to say that you need to have a day, every single day of your life has to be 100% going after every single goal you have. That's not how that works. Some days are going to be different for some things. So either way it goes, you need to just set your priorities. Just to make sure that your days are balanced and that you can actually work towards each goal in a proper manner. In a way that won't affect you beyond, like in any negative ways. Just a good, solid flow. And let's get into a little example for that actually, because it's best exampled. So let's say that I want to beat a game at some point in my life. It's a video game, right? It's not the most important thing, but I can beat that at any point. That's fine. But then I also want to get a solid education. That's also something I want to do. So, with these two things in mind, we're probably naturally thinking the more important thing is the education, not the video game, right? So, on a day, because just take a look at your schedule if that's your kind of situation. And just see, when's my next homework? When's my next classes? When's my next test? All that stuff. Is there anything today? Is there anything coming up? Do you have a little wiggle room? Is it a day off? Whatever it may be, just figure out what the next few days look like for you. And if you have some work, just focus on school. That should be your priority, because you can't sacrifice it for something like games. There's a time limit, and school is more important. But if you're done all your work, you don't got anything else to do really, and you just got some free time, of course, just flick on a game. It's fine. It's fine. If you have other hobbies, of course, or other things to attend to, then, there's a different thing to be said. But we're just keeping it basic here because we don't want to go too intricate. But the point is, you got to take a look at what's more important, specifically for the moment, and just go with that. If things aren't due until Friday and it's Monday, even then you could still play a game on Monday and Tuesday maybe, possibly Wednesday, depending how big it is. But you still want to get that work done either way, at some point. You don't want to be playing games all week. You have to get the work done at some point. So you got to set your priorities. Just set them and make sure that you actually stick to them. Because you can't be going off sacrificing school for video games and all that. You can sacrifice video games for school. That's a much better alternative. You can actually live without games. You can't really live without school and education. You'll never get a job. But you see what I mean. You see what I mean. So and with that too, a bucket list, once again, because this is kind of like me telling you to make a bucket list in a way. This kind of just suggests that we should, and we could. This isn't a bad idea to make a bucket list, but with all that we've said, I'd say it's more of an option, but I'd suggest it. I'd suggest you make a bucket list and you rank the priorities. I want to be here in a few years, I want to do this in a few years, and then I want to do this in a few months, that kind of deal. They all rank in priorities, because some things, they don't matter as much. Beating that game doesn't compare to me getting my degree, right? So I'm going to rank my degree at number 1. And then I'm going to rank my game at whatever's appropriate. Number 2 being these two examples. But of course my game probably wouldn't be number 2. I got more important things to do. Trust me. Anyway, bucket list is recommended, but it isn't necessary. It's just easier to keep your thoughts down. Anyway, with all this said, I'd just like to talk to you about one final thing, which is just exactly what this does for us, at least for me. For me, there's actually 2 things that this mainly does. I mean, there's a bunch of things, don't get me wrong, but there's 2 things that I think are best from it, that I think are hard to find elsewhere. First, I use it to judge my day and my actions and what I'm doing in the current moment. It gives me a good excuse and a good reason, not an excuse, more of a reason, a good reason to take a look at what I'm doing right now and ask, is it right? Is it what I want? Is this good? Is this something I'm proud of? It's a good way for me to reflect on my day as it currently flows. And I only kind of recently started going through that. I made a previous video about a similar topic, but I only recently started doing it, and it's so much, my days are so much better. Because I look and I ask myself, am I proud of this right now? Is this okay? Do we have enough room for this? Do we have free time? Is this okay? And if it is, perfect. And if it isn't, I feel guilty and I cut it down and I go do what's actually important. I go set my priorities, and I go get the actual stuff done. So it's worked great for me, because going through the days that we go through, we do a lot of things that we aren't proud of when it comes to the end of the day. But during those moments when we're actually doing it, we enjoy it. Like we'll play games all day, or procrastinate all day, or scroll on media all day, and it feels fine. It feels good because you're getting all that reaction in your brain. You're getting all those good feelings. You feel fine. But then when it comes to the end of the day, you realize how screwed you are because you didn't do your work, and you wasted a whole day. Not exactly wasted, but to say that you used it unwisely. I got something due tomorrow, but I procrastinated the whole day. That's going to hit hard come midnight when you're going to sleep. That's going to hit hard. So, for that, this is a great way to reflect on what you're doing and what you have done through the day. I'm telling you, it's worked like a charm for me. I've only been doing it so much recently. It's a little new, but it's worked so much. It's incredible. It's worked so much. And then the second thing, which it's been happening for a little while, is this helps me understand who I want to be. This helps me understand what I want to do. And it just eases the journey of self-discovery, because we all go on it. We're all faced with it every day, technically. We are always discovering ourselves. We are always discovering what we want to do and what we want to be. And this method, it's perfect, because it just shows, is this what you truly want? Because what you want and what you do and all that stuff really is who you are. For that, this method will show you what you're going to do, what you're going to be, and how you're going to do it all, and what you're not going to do, what you're not going to be, and all that stuff, right? So this helps you identify who you are and discover all the stuff about you. This whole thing, this whole little exercise, it's so simple. I mean, of course, you could spend a little longer than a couple minutes on it if you wanted to, but at the bare minimum, you just got to be there for a few minutes. You just got to ask, is this what I want? Is this what I'd be? Would I die upset if I didn't do this, if I chose to not do this? Or would I die happy if I did? And once you figure that out, golden, you'll figure out who you are. Eventually, I'm not going to say that it'll happen like that, but over time, it helps you develop yourself and understand who you're going to be. Without it, it's kind of just like a trial and error kind of deal, like on this front of discovery. Because you got to see, I'm just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until I figure out whether or not this is for me. But you never really take the time to sit down and ask, is it for me? So it's like trial and error if you don't do something like this, which is a painful process and takes much longer. You don't want to do it. You don't want to be there. It's not right. It's not right. Anyway, that's about everything. This is one of my favorite lessons. I feel like I say that all the time, but I really like this one. I really like this lesson right here. We got a blog here too. If you want to go check that out, it'll be posted below. This one's one of the bigger ones of 1,100 words. I like what I did this one. A lot of writing, brain exercise, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm glad I was able to share it. This one's just the best. Don't tell the other lessons, but this one's the best. Anyway, I have a challenge for you today, which is just, I want you to take a look at all the things you're doing, all the things you're going to do, just take a look at the moments that you go through on this day and the actions you take. And I want you to ask yourself, is this something I'm proud of? Is this what I really want? And is this something I'd put on my bucket list? I want you to take even the dumbest little things, like I'm scrolling on media for a little bit. Is that what you really want? Would you put it on your bucket list? Of course, it doesn't have to be super, super, intense. I'm going to go eat this donut. Would I put it on my bucket list? Not like that. But to say, do I really need the donut right now? Do I? Am I trying to stick to a diet? Am I proud of this? I'm trying to stick to a diet. I probably shouldn't do that. Or maybe no. Maybe the donut's fine. Maybe I've been on my diet for a while. I can just take a little break with it. Haven't had a donut in a month. Easy stuff. Easy stuff. Don't go too deep and say, this donut's on my bucket list. But, for like the bigger things. Is the bigger thing on your bucket list? I want to learn this song on the guitar. I want to finish building this thing. I want to make this business. Like the big things. Because they all range, but they're all appropriate. It's just there's differences between donuts and business on bucket list, right? So, I'm just saying. Either way, that's my challenge. I just want you to ask yourself with the stuff you do today, is it something you're proud of? Is it something you'd put on your bucket list? And overall, are you just happy that you're doing it? And once you do that, I'm sure it will help you so much. I'm sure it'll cut out the unnecessary stuff. It'll give you like a wake-up call. Because once you see, I'm doing something I'm not proud of, I'm scrolling on media, it'll show you, well, I got to cut this out. Get back to work on the stuff that's actually important, my priorities. And then for the stuff that you are proud of, it'll just remind you that you're doing good. You need to keep up the good work. Either way, that's about everything. Just remember, be smart about this, and don't take it too seriously on some cases like the donuts, and don't sacrifice your responsibilities. That's everything. Hope this helps you a ton. Take care, my friend.